Hey, right into the mix of March Madness and the conference tournaments. We'll have JC today. We'll also have Mike Morgan. He'll break down,
Right.
give us some sleepers. I think one of the sleepers he's going to give us, he called their championship game the other night. They're one of my sleepers, and that
Sleepers.
would be the Dukes of James Madison. Look out.
Really? The
Yeah.
Dukes.
So very good basketball team. They're 31-3.
Oh,
So got multiple Power Five, not Power Five, but whatever quad one wins or what have you. So JC, you're on the Titan MR
thank
hotline courtesy of
you.
Comfort Temp. What's happening?
Well, it seems like this little old school like James Madison gets more out of their athletics than any school their size. You're always talking about
James Madison and Liberty are well,
it,
Liberty's got
yeah.
great facilities, but those two teams
It does seem like you
pretty good.
always talk about James Madison, though, in some respect, that toward the end of some season, because nobody ever follows them, and then at the end of the year, they look up and they go, "Oh my God, this team has really got a gaudy record." I tell you, another team last night that surprised me was St. Mary's in basketball. The Gales hammered Gonzaga, and Gonzaga has beat them pretty easily the last time they played, and has really played well. They beat Kentucky on the road this year, and they're a team that nobody's really been talking about this year. But the Gales last night of St. Mary's, they were ringing bells all night on Gonzaga, so they're going to win that conference tournament for sure. And then it'll be a good chance that they're going to be a top five seed. They've had a good year, St. Mary's. Maybe not top five, but they'll be close. They'll be high. I think that. I think in this SEC tournament, there's so many possibilities. But it wouldn't surprise me to see somebody come out of that's not one of the top four double bye seeds get to the final game. And Florida could be one of those teams. So because Florida has a nice, if you look at their bracket, Florida has a nice path maybe to the weekend. Because if they win their first game, they would likely play Alabama. Well, they would play Alabama. They've already beaten Alabama, could have beaten them twice. Has a good path, I think, to potentially get to the weekend.
Yeah. We'll talk more about basketball. We got a text in the Titan MR text line from Darius. Good morning, guys. Pitching is really concerning now. I know it's early in the season. I'm confident Sully can figure it out. I'm to the point now, if the bat boy can throw strikes, put him in. It might be Johnny Holstaff the rest of the year. Now, it was a midweek game. Florida State threw a bunch of pitchers too. We lose to the semis here. Neither team pitched very well, in my opinion. So
you know what?
let's see.
Sometimes you got to say the bats were just better. And FSU hits the damn thing.
That's true, but our starter, I can't remember his name from last night. He pitched well in the first inning. Got no runs were scored. In the second inning, we had to pull him, and then we had to put some. I mean, we pitched multiple players.
Yeah.
That happens a lot in these games. No excuses. Pitching is a problem. But let's see, with your normal routine, your normal staff starting conference play Friday night against the Aggies, who are undefeated and ranked fourth in America coming in here. We'll see how that goes, and then we can assess the real pitching, because none of these guys were going to pitch on the weekends anyway.
Right.
So, yeah. But, Florida State had the same issues. It's not like they had their fourth or fifth starter go out there and mow us down. They've had multiple pitching changes as well. Paul on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, greetings from the Panhandle. Some teams don't care about their conference tournament, would rather just go one and out and prepare for the NCAA tournament. What do y'all think? That is true. Same way with baseball tournaments. People talked about why even go to Hoover and play the baseball tournament.
Yeah.
I think guys
talked about this every year.
I think there are teams out there that know it doesn't matter what happens in their NCAA tournament. I mean, their conference tournament. They're in the big dance. It's not going to mess with their seeds. However, competitors like to compete. And I think once you lace them up, you go try to win the game. If you lose, okay, we got beat. Now let's go home, have a few extra days of rest, getting ready for March Madness.
Yeah, I think that's it, because that's going to define your season. It's how you do in that tournament after your conference tournament. A lot of folks look at these conference tournaments and they go, what's the point of it? And there is a point for some of those teams that need it to get qualified. But for the rest of us who are already in this basketball tournament, it could only really just improve seeding. And that could be important too. But I tell you, you don't want to be a team like Florida that loses too many of these midweek games, or else you're not going to host the Super Regional. Because I don't think you're going to be good enough to win on the weekends if you keep losing. Because you're going to start feeling like you're going to lose. I know it's not as, it doesn't seem as intense or as important. But last night, Florida wanted to win that game. I have no doubt. 8,000 people showed up. They wanted to see the
We're
Gators
talking
win.
about basketball,
I
JC.
know, but I'm using the whole thing: basketball, baseball. You throw it out there. Both sports are kind of the same, aren't they? Because they all depend on a end of the year
Well,
tournament
yeah. I
to
mean,
give a
both
championship.
basketball and baseball, you play a ton of games. You're going to lose a bunch of games. It's just which games do you lose? Did
I don't.
losing last
Well,
night hurt the Gators in baseball? Absolutely, because it was a Power Five opponent. It's not like you lost to North Florida or Bethune-Cookman. Those don't hurt you. It's when it comes resume time, it's how you did in your
yeah.
conference, and then what did
Well,
you do against the Power Five opponents before conference play? So yeah, last night was not good, but as I stated,
FSU can
it's
hit.
not like Florida State, who's undefeated right now, by the way, they're 15-0.
Yes, they are.
It's not like they had their 4 and 5 and 6 pitchers mow us down. That was not the case. Both teams had pitching issues. The big play to me was I watched a lot of it. I don't know if it was in the second or third inning, maybe when we were down one. Cade Curlin, who was a tremendous freshman All American last year, routine ground ball
Yeah.
towards second base. He tried to backhand it, and
Yeah.
it went right underneath his glove. When all he had to
Yeah.
do was move and square it up, and we get out of the inning. But they scored 2 runs, and then the floodgates opened. So,
Well, I remember a 7-5 score with 2 outs, and one of their lefties drilled one down the line. I mean, they scored what, 8? Well, we saw the game. I couldn't watch it once it was 10-5. I said, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I felt like crap anyway yesterday. So I didn't watch the rest of it, but I could see the writing on the wall, QB. Look, Texas A&M is going to be a good litmus test. I think this weekend you're going to find out what you really got.
well, anonymous texter from the 904 area code says Gator
Uh,
baseball is a disaster this year. A high school team would beat the Gators.
well,
I
I'm
don't know
not.
about that.
I don't know about all that either, but I want to see some things change, and I want to see a good weekend out of at home. Got a great team coming in. At least that's what the rankings say they are. We'll see how great they are. We'll see what Texas A&M can do, but they are typically a very solid group. So,
Radware is a family-owned business that prides
ridiculous.
itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. Speak with JC on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We'll have Mike Morgan from ESPN SEC Network give us his thoughts on the SEC basketball tournament. But some other things, he and Mark Wise called the Sun Belt Championship with James Madison, Arkansas State. So he saw JMU in person. I think they're extremely, extremely talented and could make some noise. Also, TPC cranks up JC and I later in the
Yeah.
program. We'll do our picks, our Peachland Dental picks. I forgot to look at mine, but so I'll just wing it today. That's
Well, I
usually what I
thought
do anyway.
that's what you usually do, QB. You're a
I
winger.
know. Yeah, for sure. Barone 71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says lack of pitching and home runs or nothing ball will lead to an early exit from the regionals. Look, we're a long ways away from the regionals. This team can hit now. They can absolutely hit the baseball. Pitching is an issue though. But
It would seem
let's
that
wait. Let's wait
early.
and assess it after this weekend
Right.
when it really counts, and
Well,
possibly next weekend.
no, yeah. I mean, I want to see how they fare against another really solid team that comes in here, because they're going to try. They're going to use their best. So we'll see. Basketball tonight, QB. SEC tournament. Vanderbilt, Arkansas puts one of those poor teams out of their misery. Although Vanderbilt's been less miserable here lately, but there's no path for Vanderbilt in the postseason unless they win the tournament, and that's why you have one of these tournaments for these teams like that to try to pull off a miracle. And it would be because they'd have to play 4 or 5 days in a row, something like that. Is that right, QB? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, you have to win 5 in a row. That's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Missouri, Georgia. I'm sure the Bulldog fans are excited about their team that got off to such a fast start and ended up just absolutely fading. They're playing Missouri that's hasn't won a game this year in the conference. That's hard to stomach. So luckily, two of those four teams will be bye-byes and out of the conversation for the rest.
Yeah, well, I'm just reading some Facebook Lives here brought to you by Mel Law. Greg S. is one of the most negative Gator fans. I assume he's a Gator fan out here. He says, "You act like our starting pitching hasn't played yet." They have, Greg, and the one series that really mattered so far on the schedule, we took two out
Miami.
of three against the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, it was
Okay?
Miami, and they looked like
And
the little babies.
that's when you had your starting rotation that you're going to have in SEC play, unless he makes a change. I don't see it happening.
So is Caglio going to be your day one guy?
No, they're going to keep him at the 3 spot, as far as I've been told.
Well, I don't know who's the best pitcher yet. Do you know who the best pitcher
Well, Cags is 2-0. I mean, he hasn't.
Right.
He's performed the best.
Right. So I mean, I don't know why he has to play on a pitch on Sunday, but the theory
Well,
is
the reasoning is, and I mentioned this yesterday with Buddy because I talked to Cardozo about it, and he called and got Brad Wilkerson's thoughts on it because Brad used to be the
two-way player.
Brad's like the only other pitcher we've had that's pitched and actually played and batted. Played a position. And Brad said it's better on the body for him to be the starter on the last game of the series, so it doesn't affect his Friday and Saturday performance at the plate or in the field. Which
I see that.
Some people say, well, how can that affect a 22-year-old or 20-year-old? Which I kind of agree with, but
well, if he throws 90 pitches, I don't care how old you are. If you throw 90 pitches and you pitch 5 innings or 6 or 7. I mean, you're going to be asked to go out there and field and run and bat and do everything else the next 2 days. I guess Ohtani can do it, but I don't know that. And I think I guess that makes sense. I mean, why would we argue with Brad Wilkerson? He knows. He's done it.
Russell says here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. I think he's correct, but I'd have to look it up. He says, "Good morning, guys.
Hey,
I believe didn't we lose the first 2 SEC series last year? And I do think we made the World Series finals. Yeah, I mean, baseball's so damn long. A lot of stuff can happen.
So long. It is so long. But I get the red flags out there. I see it. I understand. I saw that last night. That was no fun to watch.
Right, but my point to it is, and we can reassess this after we play at least 2 SEC series. The semis are undefeated. Their pitching was horrible too.
Well, right. I mean, but again, both teams could hit the baseball, right? Okay.
Right. But my point of it is, none of the guys that pitched last night for either ball club has any bearing on your weekend.
Weekend starters. Yeah.
None.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's what I think we've cracked the code here now. I think we know what our assessment's going to be on the baseball team, at least here in March. So,
right.
Let's just see, guys. Don't start hitting the panic button just yet. Okay.
Very true.
I understand it, but don't.
SEC play is all that matters from this point on.
It truly is. That's the point. And this conference is ridiculous how good it is. It's just crazy how good year in and year out the SEC is, and it should be. I mean, this is the Southeast. This is where baseball is.
It just means more.
It does, but it does kind of make you sad when you see a team like St. John's. Even though I understand the situation, but these teams don't play baseball up there. Nobody plays baseball up there at this time of year. But having said that, look, the SEC weekend. Give it a shot there, folks. Don't throw in the towel yet. Don't hit the panic button. And if it looks the way it's been looking, then okay.
All right, JC, let's do our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Go visit them at peachlanddental.com. I'm gonna let you pick first. Should I write down Scotty Scheffler?
Well, I sure loved the way he played last week, and that's why I picked him. 15 under, won the Bay Hill, which is absurd.
How many wins does he have in his career now? I'm just curious.
It's probably over 10. And I'll say this: if he gets that mallet putter going, and he's made that change, and if that mallet putter stays hot, then watch out for this guy the rest of the year. And I'll say it again. What was it? I think I heard you and Buddy talking about yesterday. Buddy mentioned something about John Rahm coming back. What was that about? to the
No,
PGA
he
Tour?
said he thought John Rahm was the best, I think, best player in the world, but now he's on the Live Tour. He had a spurt
I
where he's
thought
the
he
number
said.
one ranked player, but Scotty Scheffler for the last 4 or 5 years has been the best player in the world.
Well, I thought he said something about Rom coming back. I don't know what he meant, but
No,
I
he's
know
not
Rom.
coming back.
Okay,
Why
he's
would he
on
come
the.
back?
Well, that's what I meant. That's why I was asking. And then Vic Hovland. The thing about Victor Hovland is he's finished so strong last year. He had a swing coach. He fired the swing coach and brought in another guy. And I don't understand what Hovland does. This is like his fourth coach in 5 or 6 years, and I'm not sure why he's making all these changes year in and year out. And he kind of fell apart at Bay Hill. So I'm going to stay away from Hovland. I don't think he's got it figured out right now. He was really hot at the end of last year, but then in the offseason, he gets rid of his team. He basically reorganizes his team. It's kind of strange. I'm going to start this off.
Maybe he didn't like his coach. Maybe they got into it, JC.
Well, his coach was part of the reason why, as he admitted, that he had such a great finish last year. You saw how he did. He won the Memorial. He won the a major last year. He was unbelievable last year. He was really good. All right, I can go with some of the older guys, but I think the thing with the PGA Tour is that when we get to tournaments like this, it's when the cream rises to the top. But this is a tournament that a lot of no-name players have won in the past. Many known as Stephen Ames, Craig, the hell was his name? Disappeared after he won this tournament. So a lot of times, Ricky Fowler's won this tournament, and he really hasn't had a great career. I'd say it's been a very good one, but not great. All right, I want to start off. Do you want me to pick first since you asked me?
Yeah, I always let the guests go first, JC.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. Well, you've taken the lead once in a while. I'll go with. I'm going to go with Jordan Spieth. I like the way he's hitting the ball. Let me take him.
Okay, I'm going to go with.
He does not play this course well at all. But I'm thinking this year maybe he's figured it out. Who knows?
Scotty Scheffler only has 7 PGA wins. Andy tells us here.
Okay.
It seems like he wins every week. It seems like.
Boy, it sure seems more than that. But okay.
Mike also says early season midweek games are typically the opportunity to let the young pitchers to get experience and get evaluated in game situations. Yeah. Very true. All right, my first pick is going to be Will Zalatoris.
Yeah, playing great. Coming off back surgery, had a great appearance there at Bay Hill. Like his game a lot. I think I'm going to take a foreign player only because there are many flags that fly at the TPC, and I'm going to go with a Canadian by the name of Nick Taylor.
Nick Taylor, okay.
Taylor. Probably a ridiculous pick, but I'm going to try to mix it up. I went with chalk last week. It paid off. But this week, TPC, it's really a tournament that anybody can win because of this course. Anybody can win.
Yeah, I will go with Ludvig Egberg. I love his game.
He's from Sweden. He's a strong player.
He played his college golf at Texas Tech.
Yeah, let's take 4 this weekend, QB. Can we do that? I want to go with Billy Horschel. Had a nice
local guy.
Nice, yeah. He did well out west. I'm going to take Billy Horschel. I think he'll turn it on this weekend in TPC. I think he likes the grass there.
Yeah, well, he lives out that way.
That's right.
Down the road from TPC. I'm going to go with Young Kim, my buddy Tom Kim, but only because I love him. But
you do
Paul
love
Tesori, who's had multiple rounds at TPC with Vijay Singh, Webb Simpson, all those guys. Yeah. He lives out there near there too, on the bag. That's the reason I'm going with Tom Kim.
It's a good pick. Guy's solid. I'm going to go with a guy that had a great week last week. I think he stays hot. Sam Burns, my LSU Tiger.
All right, Sam Burns is your fourth and final pick. And you know what? I'm going to go with Vic Hovland. I'm going to think he gets it figured out this week.
Yeah, I just don't know. He's making changes every single week. It's kind of nuts, but we'll see if he turns it on. He played okay until Sunday. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go on Sunday. I think watch it. I've been invited to hang there on the 17th hole if I feel better.
Miserable.
Yeah. Well,
miserable.
That's your favorite.
That is like. I'd rather I will come clean your gutters and trim your hedges.
By the way,
watch it on TV.
I hired a new lawn guy. Very excited about it.
All right, we got some more texts we need to get to here before we get to Mike Morgan.
Mike Morgan's going
Um,
to tell us about that SEC basketball tournament. I wonder if he's doing any of the.
no, because they go to their it'll be Carl Ravitch and Jimmy
Okay.
Dykes, and it'll be John Sunvold, and
Well,
I'm not sure.
I,
Maybe we'll ask him anyway.
yeah,
This text says on the Titan More text line, Sully needs to go to the student body to find some pictures.
yeah. Here we go. Hey, I'll agree with all that if A&M run rules them this weekend. How's that? I'll go
Well,
with that.
I will bet there's nobody in the student body that could get anybody out.
Yeah, I think that's true, but my God, you don't want to get into these double-digit games, man. It's just it takes too long. It's just not good baseball. These 14-12, 14-10s, 12-7 games. I don't like games like that.
JJ Trucking says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, why
I
are
like
we worrying about baseball so early in the season?
that.
Start of last year, they were throwing in the towel, and we ended up finishing pretty good.
Listen to JJ.
It's basketball season.
Yeah, listen to JJ. I'm with JJ, but JJ, the I think folks are a little concerned. I mean, watching other teams run around the bases at any time during the year makes you unhappy. You got the real deal coming in this weekend. Let's see if Florida can take 2 out of 3. If they win 2 out of 3, then everybody relax.
Relax. What if they sweep them, JC?
If Florida sweeps A&M, then
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, guys, we can still host a super regional. How's that? We can still host a regional. How's that? You got to be one of the top 8 seeds. That's the goal. I don't care about the conference championships and all that. I know they like it because it's a little flag they can paint on the wall, but usually somebody later paints over those things sometimes. So I think this is kind of one of those weekends where, because of what's already happened, folks are going to be really dialed in to make a real judgment, I think. But basketball, though, to get to JJ's point, the Gators have a very doable path, okay, to get to the weekend. And that's because they will be playing Alabama on Friday night, right? Is that right, QB?
If they win, yes, Alabama is waiting for the winner of Florida versus the winner of Georgia and Mizzou, I believe.
Right, Missouri.
Which I think our bracket, and then if you beat Alabama, I think you'll probably match up with Kentucky.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken.
So again, these are teams that Florida has beaten. Okay, they've beaten everybody that they will play in this tournament, potentially up to Sunday. I wouldn't mind seeing the Gators win this thing, because if they do, I think that improves them at least 2 notches. It gets them to maybe even a 4 seed if they win the SEC tournament. Ask Mike if that's being too optimistic, but I think it could happen if you win the SEC tournament, knowing that there's going to be probably 8 teams in the Big Dance, and you win that tournament. I think you could potentially become a 4 seed if you're the Florida Gators. It's a big deal for them.
And he says that my beloved South Dakota State Jackrabbits are in the tournament. Yes, I love the Jackrabbits.
You do love that. You pick them every year.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. In 1960, JC, the White Sox unveiled a new road uniform with players' names above their number. Does that mean they were the first team to put names on the back of their jerseys?
Well, I guess it does. Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, that's This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union.
My team never did that. By the way, your 10-second hockey update, the Florida Panthers beat the Stars last night in Dallas.
Who did you root for?
Well, they were down 3-0. It all depends on who you put your money on at this time of year, because both teams are going to be very high seeds in the playoffs.
But Florida, you have like Dallas crap and you have Panther crap.
And I have the Lightning and the
So Bruins. You just rooted for whoever won, basically.
Well, I rooted for whoever the money went on. But the Panthers were down 3-0, ended up scoring 4 unassisted goals. Brooks Koepka loves the Panthers. They get 19,000 in that building now in Fort Lauderdale. That never happened before. They were in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Watch it this year. They could win it all this year. Just saying, right now in March, it's a long way off, 2 months still. But the Florida Panthers, if they stay healthy, are the favorite. I believe that.
Yeah, we have a lot of people asking about a contest or a bracket for our listeners. Yes, we'll we'll have our producers and the people that run this program figure out how to do that because I do not know how to do it.
You know how to fill out the bracket, though.
Andy says, what do you think of the Bears staying in Chicago, knocking down Soldier Field and building a dome stadium? Is that what they're doing? I've not kept up with that, Andy.
I've heard word about that. Yeah, I've heard word about that.
I have a hard time them knocking down Soldier Field. They tried to construct it and turn it into a spaceship looking thing. But
it looks awful.
Look, here's the thing: is like Lambeau Field will never go away.
No.
And it's the great. I just absolutely love it. I love Soldier Field. I feel like they could do something. Now it's really old, but I feel like they could do something.
That part of town it's in though, down there south by the lake. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Put it in Naperville. That's the nicest place in the Chicagoland area. But no, I think the Bears are making some moves. By the way, there was some NFL moves last night, and you talked about Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons, Derrick Henry to the Ravens. Did that happen? So we're going to be we've seen some moves now in the NFL before the draft here, and teams doing desperate things to try to get themselves better. The Bears are being very active right now. That's going to be quite a decision they make with that first pick. So
I had somebody text me yesterday saying, why does everybody complain about college football with kids leaving and what's going on in the NFL? It's like this has been going on in the NFL for every year.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what happens.
It's free agency. They're leaving after their contract is up.
Their contract expires. Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles. That's an outstanding move for them. How about Joe Mixon going to the Houston Texans? I think this is really exciting stuff. And Houston Texans are they're dialed in right now.
But my point is, there's no comparison to what's happening in college football to what happens every year in the NFL.
That's right. Because it does. No, free agency in the NFL. They're in a collective bargaining agreement. There's a lot of rules in the NFL. College football is the wild, wild west. It's a.
Did you see what Saban said yesterday?
Yeah, I did, and we all said it. It's why he left. He can't take all this nonsense that's going on with all these kids moving around. That's why everybody wants to get excited about DJ Lagway. And Buddy said something about yesterday. He's going to play every game. He's going to play in every game next season. Now, I don't know, but just know this. If he's as good as everybody says he's going to be, you think he's going to be around for 4 years? Maybe not. So, I don't know. I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit on all that. We'll talk about that maybe another time, QB, because I know time's running out here. But, Graham Mertz is your quarterback, folks. Right. I don't know how DJ Lagway is going to play in every game, but he says it's going to happen. So I found that I found it was a very interesting quote yesterday from Buddy.
Real quick, Clint on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, JC, I have an almost 2-year-old and hopefully another one next year. I'd like to start putting money back for them. How much a week and what should I get? A 529 college saving plan or something else?
Well, the 529 is a great deal because you can take money out tax-free for education purposes, but simply you have to put in what you can budget and what you're comfortable with. Don't overextend yourself because the last thing you want to do is have to pull it out for something that's not education related. So if that helps with your 5-second financial advice here today, I hope you do the right thing. But that is a good plan because it can grow the money, tax deferred. You then take it out tax free to pay for that laptop. Because that's what these kids are using nowadays. Everybody goes to college to sit around and look at their laptops. God forbid we go to a lecture. We let's go to a lecture and talk about something. No, we're gonna sit on our laptops. So by the way, yes, by all means, put the money in there, defer your taxes, and then take it out tax free.
Last two things here. Paul says, I was hoping Trask would get a shot, but backup QB is a good gig. Like I said, he's going to be a backup in the NFL for about 10 years. I don't think anybody will give him a chance to be a starting quarterback. Barone says, Lagwell will be playing every game barring injury. He'll literally be the 2006 Tebow role. No red. Well, he's not going to redshirt, but so basically people want him to come in and run quarterback power. That's basically what everybody wants. I do not.
That's all Tebow did this first damn year. That's all he did. And then he became a legend with a statue. So I'm not saying, but remember, back then the game was different off the field. And today it is crazy. So I'm saying before you start, falling in love with a kid that's never played yet, just pump the brakes a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
All right, JC, we'll talk to you on Friday, my man.
You got it, brother.
We're going to take a quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by Mike Morgan, talk a little NCAA Hoops SEC Tournament. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Comfort Temp, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. We're going to head back to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and we're joined by ESPN SEC Network commentator, play-by-play, Mike Morgan. Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Shane. It's good to be back in my own bed for a bit. Had 8-day road trip at Arkansas, at Baton Rouge, and Mark Wise and I drove from Baton Rouge to Pensacola. We actually went through Pascagoula, I believe. I said, that's Shane Matthews' hometown right there.
That's right.
So we made that 3.5-hour journey, called the Sun Belt Championship on Monday night. Congratulations to JMU, the nation's only 31 win college basketball team, as they get ready for their journey. And then be anxious to see the SEC tournament this week before doing some NIT. So looking forward to Champ Week continuing. It's a great time of year.
It really is. Before we jump into the SEC, and I got a couple of NFL things I want to ask you. I watch a lot of college basketball when I'm just sitting around before I go to bed at night. People need to look out for JMU and Samford. I think both of those teams can upset somebody.
No doubt. And you know what? So every game I did this year, with the exception of 2, involved the SEC. One was JMU, which we just had Monday night. And then earlier in the year, in just a one-off, I'd had Samford at home. I think they played Western Carolina. And I was thinking, like, why is this game even on ESPN2, I think it was. And I started doing some research on Samford. Of course, eventually I met their coach. They have a coach named Bucky McMillan. And he plays – that's right. They hired him straight from high school, which is almost unheard of. And he has a formula they call it Bucky Ball. He plays 11, 12 guys. They will press you for 40 minutes and chuck up a bunch of threes. Now, it sounds chaotic, but it's organized chaos, and it works for them. And I'm telling you right now, he's already going to be on a lot of radars. If they win just one game in the tournament, they're going to be lining up to hire this guy. He's young, he's charismatic, he's got a little edge to him, and he's got a unique style of play. All the ingredients of a Power 5, Power 6 coach. He's got it, and they'll be knocking on his door.
Yep, I agree 100% with that, and I love James Madison. Before I'll leave the NFL for the end. The SEC tournament cranks up today. Looking at the bracket, I may be crazy, and JC and I just talked about this, but we both think that Florida path to maybe making the finals is pretty good. I mean, obviously, you got to beat whoever wins Georgia, Missouri, but we match up really well with Alabama, and who knows
Mm-hmm.
after that. But when you look at the tournament, you've said it multiple times, not everybody has a chance, and I agree with that. But it should be interesting because I believe that any one of the top 6 teams could win this thing.
Totally agree. And Florida is one of those teams. I think part of the equation of winning one of these. Think about this now. It's the only time all year long that you will play, say, 3 games in 3 consecutive days. You don't do that during the regular season. You don't even do that during the NCAA tournament, where you have at least one day off. So it's what coaches call a one-day prep, and you don't have the same prep time. And also, I think the deeper teams have an advantage. I don't think you have to be overly deep to have a successful team in college basketball, but I think it definitely helps in an event like this. And we've talked all year long about Florida's depth. Florida's 4 bigs, 4 guards. Like, there's very few teams that have that depth, even in the SEC. I also like the bracket. The only thing that's going to be somewhat curious for Florida is that they haven't kind of been there, done that, right? Like, a lot of these guys leading the way this year are newcomers, and sometimes you don't know how they're going to react to a different format, a different court, different rims, just a different environment overall. But yes, I think they're more than capable of making a run if they play their best basketball.
I think a lot of people may be picking Kentucky to win it because they've been playing really good basketball here of late. You're talking about a team who been there, done that. They really haven't. It's a young basketball team. They got some tremendous freshmen, as we know, with Shepard and Dillingham. But do you like this Kentucky team the way they're playing right now?
I love their roster, and I love their offense. My only concern for Kentucky, and there's going to be a lot of people that fall in love with this team that don't follow the regular season. All of a sudden now they're paying attention, and now they're trying to get kind of try to handicap who they really like. If Kentucky plays just enough defense, they absolutely can win this event. Offensively, they're the most gifted team in the country. Let me repeat that. Offensively, Kentucky is the most gifted team in all of college basketball. But you still have to have some games where you defend. You can't just win every game 98 to 87. Like, there's going to come a game in March, and Cal knows this oh too well, and Kentucky fans have seen this oh too well, where the rims are tight, and the first one to 65, 70 wins. Does Kentucky have the resolve on the defensive end to win a game like that? They haven't played great defense all year long. So I'm a big believer you can't just flip a switch and all of a sudden you're going to be a lockdown defensive team in March. But you got to play good enough combined with that defense where they could make a run. Remember now, Cal hasn't made it to the second weekend since 2019. This fan base is beyond impatient at this point, and they are ready to pounce if they don't make a run this year with lottery picks all over the place. I mean, that team is absolutely loaded, but you still got to play some D.
No question. We had some people talking at the beginning of the show, Mike. You know, these tournaments, same thing in baseball. A lot of people think that the coaches and players don't care if they win it or whatever, especially if you're already locked into the NCAA with an automatic bid. I that may be the case, but I feel like these athletes and coaches are so competitive. When you lace them up, they're going to try to win every game. When you talk to
Right.
coaches around the country, what do they say about this? I mean, they're not going into the with the attitude of, well, if we lose, we'll be more rested when we go to the NCAA. They don't say that to y'all, do they?
No, no. They might say that after they lose the game, but but going in, and Shane, I mean, the competitive fire of the players, you're not going to be able to just go, this is not really that important. We're already in the big dance. I'm just gonna put this in low gear. That doesn't exist in the players. You're out there in an incredible arena. For those that haven't been to Bridgestone, it's the best spot for this event by far. And you got every team there. You got NBA scouts all over. I mean, there will be 50 of them sitting there courtside watching every game. Players know that, believe me. There's not going to be a lack of juice in the building or in effort or anything else. Now, if and when Florida loses, they still are going to be, I think the seeding is going to be kind. Now, laying an egg in Nashville, it did not help because you went from top 30 in your net ranking to just outside it. So I think this becomes even a little more important because you don't want the sting of that to lend itself into Selection Sunday. You want a little positive momentum. You want to remind everybody, because people were starting to fall in love with Florida nationally. The secret was out. Stuff that you and I and Gator Nation already knew about how good this team was playing and how good it could be. People were figuring that out and be like, wow, this Florida team's pretty good. Man, I really like their guards. Oh, boy, those are bouncy bigs. Well, then you go and you lay an egg at Memorial Gym. Remind everybody that this is a good team. Win a couple games in Nashville, get a good seed, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Yep. Live a healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies and our amazing food. Tropical smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. We got Mike Morgan from the SEC Network on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tim. Mike, when you look, for leading, I guess a month ago, Jimmy Dykes and everybody's like, the SEC is going to get 9 teams in. I think right now we have a locked-in 6. It's the top 6 that's the seeds in the SEC tournament. I know A&M's on the bubble, Mississippi State's on the bubble. Anyone else?
No, I think Mississippi State still gets in, although if they lose that first round game, they're going to have to sweat it out. And I still think A&M's got a really good – if A&M wins one game, they're in. If they don't, the committee is going to have to struggle with that because they've got 6 quad 1 wins. And if you add up their quad 2 wins, it's really high. So that's going to be one where you have to go, okay, the net is just a guide. If we go just by the net, then we're putting A&M in. If we just go by the eye test and we realize they're struggling and their offense is very inconsistent, then the committee might say, the hell with the net. I know what my eyes see. They're not in. So I still think 7 is a really good bet. And I think A&M is the 50-50 prop, whether or not they're 8. And as far as a 9th, I don't see it right now. I just don't. I think, LSU's playing better basketball. Arkansas should have beaten Alabama. They did not. So they're not really in the discussion. No, I think it's 7 or 8. But here's the thing. Some people say, oh, wait a minute. If it's that good a league, how come we're not getting 9? We've had 8 before. We've had 8 before. I'll say we in this case in the SEC. Yes, we've had 8 before, but I've never thought that most of those 8 had a chance to win 2 games and get to the second weekend. The difference is this year, I think 6 or 7 can, and that's why I've been very strong on what the SEC is made of this year. If that's the total amount of teams, you can get 10 teams in there, and if half of them get bounced in the first round, how strong is your league really? I think there's going to be 5 or 6 teams that win a game, and you could have 4 or 5 that actually get to the next weekend. And that, to me, will stand up with any other league in the country.
Yeah, we had a question on Facebook Live regarding that, asking how many SEC teams do you think will make the Sweet 16? When you look at
Right.
the top 6 seeds, in my opinion, I think any of those, depending on who's in their bracket, where they fall, they can all get to the Sweet 16. Me personally,
Yeah.
having watched a lot of basketball, I think if Florida, Kentucky, and Tennessee play up to their potential, I think those 3 teams have a better chance of anyone. I know Auburn's good. I know South Carolina's good. And I'm leaving out Alabama, I guess. Those 3 teams, to me, for some reason, I just feel like at times South Carolina and Auburn have trouble scoring. And then Alabama, they have
Yeah.
trouble defending. Well, that's the same thing you can say for Kentucky and Florida. But I feel like they have more talent. And maybe I'm not trying to be a homer here, but I think Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida, I think those 3 teams will make the most noise in the tournament.
Yeah, I think the one thing about Florida, it's not a personnel thing. They just had a knack of blowing leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have had several games where they had a big lead and squandered it and lost. So that's not a personnel thing. That's just a bad habit that they need to kick when they get into March. But in terms of personnel, absolutely. I love their chances to win a couple games. I mean, again, you got to see the brackets. Funny, you mentioned JMU. The last time JMU, the second to last time they were in the tournament was 94, and that was against Florida. You had Lefty Driesell and JMU, and that Florida team that I covered as a student went to the Final Four. And if you remember, they struggled in the early 2 rounds just to win. Those were close games. Sometimes it's the matchups and just surviving and advancing. Those first couple of games are the most unpredictable. They really are. That's when you have the most upsets. That's when you have the most craziness. So whatever the matchups are, chances are in one of those 2 games, whether you're Florida, whether you're Tennessee, whether you're Kentucky, you are going to be pushed against the ropes, and they're going to test your resolve. And that's where the teams that are strong mentally, it used to be where that's where the teams that have seniors and veterans that they're better suited to fit that. Well, now everybody's old thanks to the portal. So everybody's got veteran players. But how many of them come through in the clutch and don't panic? The most talented teams do not all get to the Sweet 16. It's the teams that are able to survive a little bit of adversity, sometimes get a little bit lucky, and just hit key shots down the stretch.
I agree with all of that. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. A few more minutes here with Mike Morgan on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. He's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Mike, NFL, you call a lot of NFL games every year. I think the Falcons did a good job. Some people like Kirk Cousins. A lot of people don't. I personally don't know the guy at all, but I think he's a good, solid player. He's going to be right for your organization. He's a tremendous leader. What do you think about Cousins in Atlanta?
Oh gosh, I fill in a lot on the afternoon show on 680 The Fan here, and we were having this conversation over a month ago, and I kept saying it's going to be Kirk Cousins. They're like, no, why Kirk Cousins? Do you love Kirk? Do I love Kirk Cousins? No, but I really do like him. And here's the thing: your options were trade for Justin Fields, no thank you. Trade for Russell Wilson, no thank you. Give up make a Carolina Panthers Bryce Young type trade and give up everybody, all your draft stock for the next 3 years so you can get Caleb Williams, who not everybody loves in the draft, by the way. No thank you. To me, the safest pick was Kirk Cousins. Now, the money is the money. Is he being overpaid? Yeah, but it's not my money. If you believe, like Atlanta does, that they're just a quarterback away in an awful, lousy division, this was the safest pickup. They've got wide receivers. They've got Kyle Pitts, who I would like to see play like the alien he was at Florida. Hasn't done it yet. They've got Bijan Robinson in the backfield. They've got a veteran offensive line. You add Kirk Cousins to this team over Desmond Ridder. That is a major upgrade, and all of a sudden the Falcons are ready for a playoff appearance. So, yeah, I think it was the right play. I think it was the safest play. People will say, well, Kirk Cousins has only won this many playoff games. I get all that. But if you can't get Pat Mahomes in a trade. You're not getting Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen in free agency. That's not the way it works. Those quarterbacks get locked down forever. So you either with the number 8 pick in the draft, when those top 3 quarterbacks are gone, you either trade up, you settle for the other quarterbacks I just mentioned, or you get a proven commodity in Kirk Cousins. I think it was the right move.
Yeah, I think he's a solid guy. He's going to make that team better. Just a professional type guy you want in your locker room. So I think it's a good move. Anything else in the NFL surprise you that's happened so far?
Well, I mean, people will talk about the Russell Wilson deal. I used to really love Russell Wilson, the player. I don't know what's happened. I mean, I can't blame all of that on Sean Payton, Denver. Some people are saying, well, look out now. Pittsburgh's got Russell Wilson. They're just giving up on Kenny Pickett. The game has changed, Shane. I mean, it used to be if you were a quarterback and you got drafted as highly as Pickett did, first, second round, you get 3 years to kind of prove yourself. Now teams just give up on you. If you don't do something like by year 2, they just throw you in the scrap heap and they try to get somebody else. I mean, that's what happened to Desmond Ridder in Atlanta, although they only spent a third-round pick on him. That's what's happening to Kenny Pickett. That's what's happening to Justin Fields in Chicago. You basically get 2 years to prove that you're not just capable, but really good as a quarterback. And if not, we're going to get somebody else. So that's clearly what Pittsburgh's doing. But I don't think Russell Wilson is necessarily the answer right now. Mm-hmm. The last game of the year that I had was in Nashville, and I could have told you Derrick Henry was going to be on the move. He's still got some miles left, although he's not quite the dominating player he was, but that was a big name pickup. But all the other ones, to be honest with you, I mean, it's all quarterback driven. Everything else is like, okay, let's sell high, buy low. Let's go ahead and dump this wide receiver running back because we got another guy who's cheaper and younger. Yeah, KC did what they had to do in signing Jones. That means they're going to be playing for yet another Super Bowl because he is unblockable. That was a huge pickup. But outside of that, I don't know if there's been a whole lot of headline moves.
All right, last thing for you, a text here on the Titan MR text line from Jimmy in Charlotte. He says, Mike, want to know your thoughts on the fight in the women's game between LSU and Carolina. Will anyone be suspended for the tournament?
Jimmy, good question. So Cardoza, which was the big girl that did the 2-hand shove to the LSU player, and I can't remember her name, she's going to be I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm watching at the hotel room. I'm like, well, she just got suspended for a game. So she's going to miss the entire first round. Now, if this were men's basketball and you lost one of your best players for the entire game, that would be huge news. But honestly, South Carolina could win with 4 players on the floor. They could pull a Norman Dale and Hoosiers and say, my team's on the floor, and still beat whoever the 16 seed's going to be. You don't have the depth in women's basketball. But the announcers, I think, said initially that all the players that left the bench are going to be suspended, and that's going to make them like a 5-man roster. That's inaccurate. The only players that got suspended were involved in the fight itself. Just leaving the bench gets you kicked out of the game. It does not suspend you for the following game. So it's not going to have major repercussions in the tournament. But it was an ugly scene. And the knucklehead brother who rushes onto the floor. It's like, bro, what are you doing? You're gonna take on some women? I mean, what are you looking for, street cred? I mean, that guy was a clown. But I think after all is said and done, not much else will come out of it.
Yeah. Mike, good stuff as always, my man. We'll talk to you, I guess, next week sometime. We'll check your schedule out, but should be a fun weekend. And next time we talk to you, we'll have the brackets and get your thoughts on it.
Can't wait for it, Shane. Looking forward to it.
That's Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. Join us on the Titan Hotline. courtesy of Comfort Temp, and he's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Hope everybody enjoyed today's program. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.